So, good day, everyone. We're here for another episode of the DVD show. So, for today, we have the former De La Salle Green Archers and De La Salle Lady Spikers courtside reporter last season 81 and season 82. And now she's currently courtside also for the PBA. So, I'll now welcome here on the DVD show, Aiyana Perlas. Thank you for joining me here on the podcast.
Woo! Hello, everyone, and thank you so much to Diego for inviting me here. I'm so excited.
Yeah. It's been great that I want to really hear more about your story and how you have been doing in the sports media industry, and also how has the pandemic like changed. I mean, start mo pa lang sa sports media, and then the pandemic happened, and now we're resuming to normal. So it's gonna be interesting to learn more about your story. But to begin, I wanted to ask, how have you been doing now? I mean, we know that you have a new venture in the PBA, and it's the Spikers Turf. So how's life been going with you with your work, and also not in work, like off work?
Basically, it's been a hard pandemic, especially with season 82 being cut short. I wish I was able to finish that. I saw I had a lot of hope, especially in the lady spikers. They were training so
Mm.
hard to, come back that season, but
Mm.
then sadly we were cut short. We were never able to witness the
Yeah.
amazingness. But with the pandemic, I was able to kind of explore more on the online hosting type
Mm-hmm.
of thing, which was something that we had to adjust to, of course. It's so weird hosting and not being able to feel like a crowd, because sometimes us hosts and us reporters, we get the energy from the crowds, right?
Yeah.
So it was a kind of a hard thing to adjust to, but then I got used to it, and now I'm so happy to say that finally we're back. We have sports, we have our crowds now, we have fans cheering us on, and it's just been so fun recently.
Mm,
Oh, off
okay.
the court also, by the way. Off the
Yeah.
court, all I do is work out. All I
Mm.
do is sleep because I don't know. Recently, actually, share ko lang, guys. All my
Mm.
life, I've been a night owl. I've always been sleeping at 5 a.m. And then in
Wow.
high school, yeah, I swear, in high school also, I would never sleep because I took STEM and I was a
Oh.
cheerleader. So
Yeah.
I would never sleep talaga. So now this is my first time ever kind of really having 8 hours of sleep, sleeping early, and kind of valuing sleep talaga. So yeah, I've been sleeping.
Yeah, yung sleeping, I mean, people that I've also known, like their sleeping schedule became either really worse or better in the pandemic. It went
Yeah.
both ways. It wasn't the same. So yeah, it's great that you're able to relax more and be able to have a work-life balance in terms of your job. But yeah, with your new venture now in the PBA and Spikers turf, you mentioned in your Instagram post that you're back at the court side. So what prompted you to like go back, or were they did they offer you the job, or did you apply? What was the process for it?
Yes, actually, I actually auditioned because I think TV5, One Sports and Signal, they're all one, right? So they had this
Yeah.
opening for, I think it was a VJ, like
Mm.
the role was VJ. So I auditioned for that, and then eventually I actually don't have feedback yet about that VJ role. But then what I did get feedback from was, yun nga, they were looking for a Spikers Turf courtside reporter, and they were also looking for a PBA courtside reporter. So I'm guessing that that audition was kind of like, for all the, parang as a
Mm.
general talent lang talaga for the
Mm.
channel. So I'm so happy because I don't know, I say this everywhere that I've always been a fan of telling stories of the athletes. I love that. I
Mm.
love learning more about these athletes, and I love sharing with people like how they are on and off the court, so that people aren't mistaken na parang, oh my gosh, ito si, let's have a name, let's say, oh my gosh, si Aljon Malesio, mayabang yan on the court, but then really
Yeah.
off the court, he's like one of the nicest guys, right? So
Mm.
those are the types of things that I love about reporting and being a courtside reporter.
Mm. Okay, yeah, that's really great. I mean, that's also one passion I have. Kasi nga, like when you listen to sports news, it's like what like the breaking news, and then they kind of analyze it. But then if you have like a podcast, or like if you're a courtside reporter, you delve deeper into like the journey and yung mga obstacles na pinagdadaanan ng athletes. And sometimes it's super interesting, and you could apply it to your life then kahit di ka avid fan or something. Pero yeah, being in a Spikers turf now, and since they're now with the new network and they just started now because pre-pandemic was their last season, and now with the PBA, how was the experience for you being able to cover like both leagues simultaneously then?
Very fun. I'm really enjoying a lot, especially that this is my first time covering for men's volleyball. I said this in
Mm.
my guesting on the game
Oh
that
yeah,
I
yeah.
was kind of scared to, that this is my first time because I know how fast paced and how intense men's volleyball is. So I was so nervous, like, oh my gosh, I have to prepare my reports in like two
Mm.
minutes. But no, that wasn't really the case. These boys are very accommodating.
Mm.
When I talk to them before the game, they give me so much things already to the point that I have so much things to say already. I have so much things already on my notebook. Like I
Mm.
don't even have to like seek for more stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, and it's been hard because I'm also actually still in La Salle. I'm still studying.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
sometimes I have to have a class while at work, but off cam lang para ano. Yes. Off cam lang.
Yeah. Yeah, that's enjoyable being in men's volleyball landscape because for me also I'm not that like aware. Like I don't have proficient knowledge on the men's volleyball scene to be
Yeah.
honest here. Like I only know the superstars or like the main players that are talked about. But being there in the men's volleyball for you, what's like some of the best stories or the best experiences you had so far in this conference? Maybe from the athletes or a game mismo because for me I don't watch Spikers turf talaga, so
Mhm.
yeah, I'd be interested to hear from you.
I think a story that I can share that I feel like a lot of people would be interested by is how long. There was this one time that our one set reached 35 points.
Wow, ang
I know,
haba.
right? 35, 35. Tapos we had to wait for someone to reach 37. It's really that interesting because I feel like in men's volleyball, they really don't give up. Like, oh
Mm,
man, the digs are amazing. And it's
mm,
so cool to see na, you know how some boys aren't flexible? These
mm,
guys are so flexible and like it's like when they move, it's
mm,
crazy. It's like they're in an
mm.
like a gymnastics stadium and I find that so fun. And I'm so excited that men's volleyball is going to be one of the biggest sports now. I hope so in the Philippines.
Yeah, it has a lot of potential. I mean, you could see naman
Mm-mm.
the performance that they showcase during our international competitions, 'di ba? Like
Mm-mm.
nung bago yata mag-pandemic, nag-bronze sila or silver sa SEA
Yes.
Games, 'di ba? Ang lakas nila nun eh. So, it's
Mm-mm.
great to also watch and ibang klase yung mga men's volleyball players. I mean, yun, compared to volleyball and women's, iba yung athleticism, yung height,
Yes.
yung power. I mean, it's fun to watch as well. Yeah. But then you
Yes.
mentioned yung pandemic and you mentioned like the new way that the new venture that you tried out and before this Spikers Turf and PBA experience, when the UAP season was cut short, what were some of the things you did outside of school then in order to still continue honing your craft?
I actually wasn't able to really hone my craft in the sports industry with the pandemic. It was more on like the hosting side because that's
Mm,
really where I mean, we didn't have sports for 2 years.
yeah.
So it's hard then for us to look for opportunities there. So
Mm,
I think I was able to get more opportunities on like the hosting side, more on
mm,
like when brands would have, let's say, live streams or corporate
yeah.
companies would have an anniversary and it would be via Zoom. Those are the type of things that I really kind of focused on for the past 2 years in the pandemic.
Mm. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty great because it's the different also the yung way of hosting in terms of Zoom or StreamYard compared to in real life hosting. So
Yes.
how are you able to adjust to that? And do you think that it's really what do you call it advisable, or do you think people would still continue doing that even if the COVID crisis hopefully gets eradicated soon?
Well, I wouldn't. I mean, I can't say that it is advisable because I feel like, face to face events are really different.
Mm,
Whoever is attending these events can really have fun, can really interact with the many people, can really experience the event mismo with the
Mm.
food, the games, the programs. Like instead of just watching it in your screens and you're like, oh, pwede ko naman panoorin to sa YouTube eh, di ba?
Yeah.
Yes. But personally, as a host, I find it to be very convenient for me because I don't have to leave my
Mm.
house. Like right now, I could just be wearing a shirt, but you won't know I'm wearing my pajamas underneath, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the script, like instead of holding a physical, let's say what you call
Index
this
card.
yeah, index card, I can just read
Mm.
it from here and you won't even know that I'm reading it, and it's like
Yeah.
I just know my things so well, and I think
Yeah.
that's why it's convenient for me. But of course, I would much rather have a face-to-face event because I get to see the people, I get to interact with them, I
Mm.
get to feel their vibes, and then
Mm.
that could help me and that could recharge me as a host as well.
Mhm. Yeah, I also enjoy more yung mga face-to-face events. I mean, like LaSalle like got me for a couple of like events na Zoom. Then we're like, oh, why don't you host this? I mean, it's still
Mm-mm.
kind of different. You need to have like, minsan pag nade-disconnect yung speaker or something, you need to have
Oh
some random
yes.
stuff to talk about and ad-lib ka dyan. Yung mga ganun.
Mm-mm.
So it's a great learning experience then, and it's something different. But I don't know if it's gonna continue like in the next 2 to 3 years. But then one thing that could continue from content or like the stuff you do during the pandemic was maybe like how sports content or other types of content or brands they're able to
Yes.
still grow in terms of the pandemic through social media or other approaches. So what do you think did the pandemic like? What's the silver lining for like the sports industry? Maybe other industries that rely a lot on like the internet or like social media.
Actually, I think the sports industry, it's really hard to find the silver lining talaga because obviously these athletes really need to train face to face, and it's so
Mm-hmm.
sad to know that they work so hard for all of these like sports events that they have to do, basketball games, matches and
Mm-hmm.
everything. Tapos we weren't able to continue with that. So I guess maybe the silver lining could be that they get to rest and spend time with their families, especially that, a lot of them are from the provinces and a lot of
Mm-hmm.
them really sacrifice a lot of time to be here with us in Manila and to compete. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the silver lining talaga for the athletes, that they really get to be with their families. And I guess at the same time train together still, but online, which
Mm-hmm.
is which sucks
Yeah.
also. So
Yeah.
but I'm happy we're back now.
Yeah. Yeah, you
Yeah.
mentioned nga na mahirap talaga nga na walang training pero yung mga ginawa nung iba like yung mga the ones we were talking about before we started were like mga podcasts and shows of people. You get to learn more about the athletes kahit yung mga from the 90s, from the
Yeah.
early
Yeah.
2000s or the 2010s. You get to know their journey parang throwback kasi wala nang ibang magawa eh.
Yes, that's
So,
true.
would you say that that's a new way of also creating content in sports? Like, would you say na the podcasting or the shows are here to stay, and that's also a new way for the athletes and sports personalities to like amplify their image then to the fans?
For sure, 100%. I mean, everyone is on the internet now. Like, everyone is on
Mm.
TikTok. Everyone is on Facebook. Like, parang I
Mm.
don't know anyone who doesn't own a smartphone. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So I think it's a really good avenue, not only for athletes, but even content creators to really get themselves out there and to really, be known, just assert themselves and stuff. And I love also how, we're able to access all of our games now in all the leagues via, let's
Mhm.
say, Signal Play or Smart Giga Play. Like,
Yeah.
it's so easy now when you get to really watch your favorite athletes on your phone and you don't have to like switch to the channel pa. So I think it's really convenient
Mhm.
for everyone talaga.
Yeah. But then now
Yes.
for the next part of the interview, it's great to also know like my guests. I ask about their upbringing and childhood and how they turn out to be a great at their craft, like you being a courtside reporter and a events host. So to start things off, I wanted to ask more about like where did you grow up and how did you get this love for sports and this love for hosting at such a young age, or was it later at your teenage years? How was your upbringing and childhood like?
Well, I grew up here in Manila. I went to St.
Mm-hmm.
Pedro Pabetta College, and I feel like I've always been very into sports ever since. I mean, I was in gymnastics when I was in grade three or grade two or four. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
sure. Then I moved on
Yeah.
to cheerleading. But even with that, like I think when I was seven, I started golfing with my dad. I'm
Wow.
not a
Pambata.
consistent
Yeah.
golfer, guys. But my dad is a golf addict kasi syempre he would bring my sister and I to the, let's
Oh.
say, the driving range. I'm not good, okay? Just sharing that I have not a good golfer. But yeah, and then we would also have like a lot of bonding moments. I think my mom, my dad, my sister and I, this was back in 2014, I think, when Miami Heat won the championship,
Yeah.
the NBA. We were big Miami Heat fans. Like my
Oh.
sister would be Dwayne Wade. I am
Mm.
LeBron James. We don't have a Chris Bosh because we're just two. But
Yeah.
that was really our time. And I feel like maybe in my whole life, I mean, it's not really, I don't think I can say that I'm the most athletic or most knowledgeable when it comes to sports, but I can say that sports has always been in my life naman. And
Mm.
as for hosting, actually, when I graduated from Poveda, because in Poveda kasi bawal to appear on any type of mass media.
Oh,
So
okay. I didn't know
yeah,
that.
exactly. So
Yeah.
when I graduated, the first thing that I did was actually audition to be a mixed VJ. A mixed
Mm.
VJ, and I was able to be a finalist. And that was when I discovered na wow, it's so hard pala to be a host. This is something that I really want to hone and
Mm.
stuff. And
Mm.
then when I lost that, that was when I auditioned to be a courtside reporter, and eventually I got in. Woohoo! And that was when it all started.
Yeah. Being in mix for before being a courtside reporter, like why would you say that helped you also in the process of auditioning and applying to be a UAP courtside reporter?
Oh my goodness, this is a funny story. I the reason why I chose mix first was because I love music so much. Up to now, music
Mm.
is really my life. Like literally, Hannah Montana was the woman who made me fall in love with me, or Nicki Minaj too. These two
Mm.
ladies, and ever since then, I really, just really loved having music in my life, and I was always so updated with the newest songs. And I was like, man, I want to be a mix VJ. And then when I lost, I was really, really sad. And then
Mm.
during the after party, I was able to have a really good talk with Kuya Robbie Domingo and
Mm.
Tours Daza. So
Mm.
these two guys, they're actually from ABS-CBN Sports in Action, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that was the first thing that they told me. They were like, you know what, Ayana? We've been there. We've lost the mixed VJ search before too. We were also fired from mixed before. And you know what we did? We tried it in SNA. And I think you're
Mm.
gonna be awesome there because, right, you were an athlete before, so I suggest you try it in SNA. And I was like, okay, I'll try it. And then so when I tried it, they were the ones who pushed me basically to
Mhm.
audition for sports. And when I tried it, that was I got in. So thank you to Kuya Robbie and Tours Daza.
Yeah. That's a great way because some people nga you wouldn't know that they actually just kwentuhan lang pero you didn't know na yung
Mm,
sinabi nila it's a huge step for you. I mean if they didn't tell you, diba, you might have not applied and you're not like here now being like the court side of LaSalle, being in Signal
yes,
as a court side. So it's great that you actually took their advice seriously and you
exactly.
actually applied. But then being able to apply in that UAP courtside reporter. I mean, you're against a lot of people during that time. So how
My
was
goodness.
that like for you? How were there like rounds when you applied? Did you have like a nervous time when you were applying? How was this process?
I actually applied on the last day because I was so
Oh, okay.
hesitant. Yeah, I was very, very hesitant because I knew that I knew nothing about like basketball, volleyball. I knew nothing. I mean, I would watch, but then like I before I wouldn't even know what this was, you know? So, I only knew, oh my gosh, yeah, 3 points. So I was
Mm-mm.
really, really hesitant. But we had a total of 5 rounds, and it was funny. This is my favorite story to tell because in one of those rounds, there was this one time that we had to enter this room one by one, And then
Oh,
for some weird reason, like the girls, whenever they'd come out of the room, they would be like palpitating, be like, oh my god, Kurt, that was so hard. And then I
yeah.
would be like, oh my god, no, for sure I'm not gonna get it because I don't know anything. And then when I went in, the question to me was, Ayana, I need you to pretend that Ariana Grande is beside you right now and you need to interview her. And I'm like, okay, this is not sports, but okay. And then so I was finished. I went out of the room. I was smiling because I love Ariana Grande, and I don't know how they knew that I love Ariana Grande. And then everyone was like, Ayana, why are you smiling? Wasn't it so hard? I was like, no, but they told me before I went out of the room, they were like, don't tell them that you talked to Ariana Grande, okay? And I was like, okay. So I was just like, yeah, it was kind of hard, but I was smiling. So that's really my favorite story to tell. And like, I always talk to my, up to now, I still talk to her. This is Mama D, Mama Diana Saison. She is one of our mentors there for the Courtside Reporters. And I asked her when I got the job, I was like, Mama D, why me? Like, I know nothing at all. And
Mm,
then she just, she told me na what we saw in you, sure you might not have the most knowledge compared to the other girls, but then what we saw in you is that you were humble and you were really willing and open to learn, because that's the type of person that we want to get, someone who is humble enough to know her mistakes, someone who is open to criticism, who's open to
mm,
learning, and someone who knows that she's not good, because that's the easiest type of person to work with, someone who is,
mm.
you know just always saying okay po, yeah, sorry po. They
Yeah.
like this type of people.
So, did you know like how many people then applied with that with your batch? Were it like hundreds also during your time?
I actually don't know. But then I remember there was this one round, I think we were like 20 or 30 in the face to face part, ha. But I'm not sure
Mm,
about how many actually emailed Sports in
mm.
Action that time. But I'm guessing a lot. I don't know. Oh my gosh. I don't.
Yeah, I was just interested with that. But you mentioned nga that you felt that you didn't have proficient sports knowledge when you applied to be a courtside reporter. But then but they give you a certain amount of time before the season begins. Is it basketball yung first sport? So did you like research a lot that time? Did you like talk to your basketball yung friends mo na basketball fans, or kinausap mo na yung mga athletes? What was your approach?
This is so funny, ha? Because actually, season 81, the season that I applied for, was the cramming season. So we only had 1 week to learn everything. So I
Oh,
was,
1 week lang.
yeah, exactly. So I think it was before I auditioned before I applied, which was on the last
Mm,
day. Was when I started reading about stuff na I started like watching all of these girls, and I was really like, oh my goodness, I cannot do this. Like,
mm,
these girls are so smart, they're not even reading from their notebooks and stuff.
mm,
And then eventually, it was throughout the different rounds, was when I was also constantly learning and reading about things. Because
mm.
with those rounds, you really have to prove yourself. It was really pressuring, to be honest. So
Yeah.
I guess that is how I kind of learned. I'm gonna be honest. Up to now, I still don't know a lot. So yeah, I'm just getting through.
Yeah, that's great though. I mean, sometimes when you're behind the panel, like if you're an anchor on our course side, it's the analyst naman that needs to know all the terminologies or all the like
Exactly.
the deeper stuff to the basketball fan that basketball fans would want to know. But sometimes when you're an anchor or on a court side, it's how you deliver it, I guess. Or if you're articulate, that's the more important part of being in the panel. But for you, there entering your first few games in as a LaSalle courtside reporter, how was that experience like? Were you like nervous every game? Like, did you have a routine pa before these games? Because syempre, you didn't know what you were getting yourself into. How was that for you?
Mhm. Oh my goodness. Okay, I have a lot to say about this because first of all, I was probably okay. Yeah, I was probably the worst in my batch for season 81. I was really bad. Like content wise. And then I
Okay.
remember na parang, the bosses talked to me na parang, Ayana, you have to work on your content talaga. And I was like,
Mm.
okay po. And then they actually dedicated like a session to me on how to, that was like the saddest moment of my life. I was like, oh my gosh, there's this session dedicated to me about how I can improve in my content. Okay. I was so sad. But then, I think eventually I was able to really redeem myself. And I
Mm.
think I can say that I've improved starting of volleyball na. I think that was when I started to improve already and be more confident, especially in my content. I knew how to ask the right questions to these athletes. I knew how to compose better. And my pregame ritual is actually I like to do sit-ups and push-ups
Mm.
backstage because I don't know, I feel like I get so jittery kasi and it's so cold in MOA or Araneta. Like I
Yeah.
can't report when it's cold. So I have to like warm up myself. I'm the athlete, you know.
Uh,
I'm an athlete competing as well. So yeah, that was my life. I really sucked. So
yeah, but then for some people, like yeah, and for your experience, you felt that you didn't do well in your first, let's say, couple of games in the basketball season, but then you still strive to become better for the season 82. You came back, you became better for volleyball in season 81. So how
yes.
would you tell the people, not necessarily only as a courtside reporter, but any job na, when you're at that low moment that you felt you were very sad and you felt like you didn't have that much hope anymore, like what would you tell the people na have some perseverance and still have that determination to continue, since that's what you really got yourself into in the first place?
I think honestly it's just to always remember why you started and why you auditioned in the first place. I say this for everything, like not only for like my work, but even for like let's say if I have a boyfriend or let's say if I'm doing a workout, I
Mm-mm.
remember first like, my square one. Why did I start this in the first place? You know what I mean?
Mm-mm.
And of course, it's just to really keep yourself motivated talaga and remember that these people trusted you for a reason. They got you to be the DLSU Courtside Reporter. They got you to host this certain event. So you have to prove them right. It's so funny. I reported about this in my first ever coverage for the PBA that, Tyler Tio told me the exact same thing that the reason why he's really stepping up as a rookie in his team
Mm-mm.
is because the coaches really trust him and he wants to prove them right that they
Mm-mm.
trusted him. So I super agree. You just have to prove the people right talaga and you always have to remember that in every game, if you're nervous, it's good to be nervous. That means you care. And you have to remember, don't be hard on yourself also. Because it's
Mm-mm.
always going to be 1% better in every coverage, not 50, not 100, not 90, but 1%
Mm.
better in each coverage. So, yeah, just always be open to learning, open to all the experiences. Remember why you started, and just genuinely love your job.
Yeah, and that's a definite answer, yeah, that you really did love it, because yeah, you're still doing it until now, even if it's already been several years. But since yeah, you mentioned that it was a slow start for you in the basketball season in season 81, did you feel that you were starting to find your groove and during the basketball season, that you were being more comfortable being on the mic, or were you say it was really during the volleyball season?
Actually, I think this was also what my bosses told me. They were okay naman with my delivery. They were okay with how I looked and how I spoke to the camera. Like that
Mm-mm.
was an okay point, but it was really my content. And I feel like maybe the second round of basketball was when I started being more comfortable with the players. Syempre, I was still
Yeah.
getting to know them. I was still a shy girl and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
now that I was able to get to know them more and I was really going to their trainings talaga, like when I would have breaks in class, I mean from
Mm-hmm.
school or my schedule, I would
Yeah.
really go to their trainings. I would go to their dorm and really bond with them so that I could get to know them more, have all these
Mm-hmm.
different stories. And same goes with the lady spikers as well. Like I really bonded with them talaga so it would be easier for me to get the content that I needed. But of course, it wasn't naman like to use them. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
genuinely created a friendship with them, and it wasn't just for my reports. I really love and appreciate these athletes, and I know
Mm-hmm.
naman when to stop with my stories. Like I know
Mm.
when to keep their privacy, or when I know I shouldn't say this because this is,
Too
it's too
much.
private
Yeah.
already. You know what I mean? So I try to enable that trust also in them. Na parang you guys can trust me about the secrets, and, the private stuff. So ganun lang. Parang it's just about creating genuine friendships talaga also with them.
Yeah, that's one primary trait talaga of a good or a great journalist because yeah, alam mo naman yung mga iba, 'di ba? Like biglang pina-publish nila tapos nagiging issue and everything. I mean, not only
Yes,
in
true.
sports but like in any industry. But then you said that you started developing these lasting friendships and relationships with the players and the coaches and the whole team. So, from the start pa lang ba ganun na yun na close na kayo or was it also difficult for you to get to be close with them and get to talk to them because you would know that there are some kunwari like PBA or NBA players that aren't the easiest to talk to. Like did say something, but it wouldn't be that much or it wouldn't have that much substance. So how was your experience in that aspect?
Well, I'm very lucky because the LaSalle athletes are very, very warm,
Mm-hmm.
and it's so nice. Like I'm actually still very close to a lot of them right now, and it was easier for me to talk to the rookies because they were also new. So I kind of felt like a
Yeah.
rookie too. So
Yeah.
parang we were like on the same boat. It was funny because like my first friend in the basketball team, he was a rookie at that time. Not rookie, but he was a newcomer at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Was Jordan Bartlett and Brandon
Oh yeah.
Bates. They were both
Yeah.
new, right?
Yeah.
So parang they were the people that I would really come up to because
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I just felt more comfortable with them besides Kuya Kib Matalbo, who was the captain
Yeah.
at that time. But he was very, very warm. He was super warm
Mm-hmm.
to me, and eventually I felt more comfortable being able to ask them questions. And same goes with the lady spikers. Ate Des Cheng naman was the captain, and she was also
Mm-hmm.
very friendly the first time I visited. She
Mm-hmm.
made me lead the stretching. Yeah, with
Yeah.
Coach Ramil de Jesus, they were both the ones who made me lead the stretching. So, yeah, it was fun. I think it was really the rookies that helped me get closer to the team.
Wow, that's really fantastic that you had a smooth job of being a courtside in LaSalle. And being in LaSalle, it's very delightful to hear that. I mean, that the
Yes.
LaSalle players and coaches were very accommodating to you. But then, even with the great experience you had in season 81, what would you say is a few moments or one moment that would stand out to you? I mean, I know that LaSalle didn't win the championship in those seasons, but then maybe there were moments that would be very memorable kahit nanalo lang ng isang elimination round game or may isang report ka na talagang nagustuhan ng mga tao, what would you say is those moments?
Uh, well, a lot of people know this because I talk about this a lot. My favorite season 81 moment was in volleyball when I got hit by a volleyball. So that
Was that
was,
warm up or game?
it was a pre-game report, and I got hit
Ah,
during
okay.
the warm up. Yeah, they were warming up, and I think that was when I really realized na, oh my goodness, I really improved. Because even if I
Mm,
got hit by the volleyball, in fairness, I still remembered my report. So I was still able to compose myself. So I think
mm,
that's really my favorite season that really kind of defined my moment na parang, oh my goodness, yay. Finally, from all
mm.
of the struggles from the basketball season, I improved na and stuff. And of course, having the relationship with the athletes also stood out with me. Like, even if I wasn't a reporter, and let's say I did become friends with these people, I would really, they're such good friends to have talaga.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the athletes, some of the guests that I've had, like they're so nice when sometimes even when I see them in real life, syempre they don't know me kasi iba naman pag sa Zoom or StreamYard. Pero I
Yes.
introduce myself and mababait sila and they still remember, oh, you're from the DVD show, ganun. So yeah, it's really
Yes.
great to get to know these athletes also. But I wanted to also ask now about the cheer dance competition. Like, how was that experience for you, and how was that really like also one of the best, let's say, events of your whole courtside experience?
Definitely. I actually think
Mm.
it's kind of Yeah, it's really one of the best events because it's a very different experience being able to, it's the hardest, but it's also the best experience because you have to really prepare talaga what you want to say, how you're gonna
Mm-hmm.
hype the crowd, how you're gonna bring up the energy in front of thousands, hundreds and thousands of people. It's really, really so
Mm-hmm.
pressuring. But I think that's what really defines a courtside reporter. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, get yourself out there. It's really the confidence booster talaga yung CDC.
Yeah, I agree with that. And cheer dance competition, I mean, I just watch it sometimes, but to be honest, I don't know like the technical stuff, but it's really
Yeah.
enjoyable when the cheers are all there. Like all the eight UAP schools are excited to support their university. So it's really a fun thing for them. But then I wanted to also ask one thing about the like, yeah, you talked about support and being able
Yeah.
to be there for the team and being close to them. So was it also tough for you not to be like biased or like to cheer for the team too much? Because like as a court side, don't you need to be like neutral in a way? I mean, you're reporting for LaSalle, but then diba you can't like be like a fan. I mean, for us in the LaSallian, they also tell us that. But sometimes when it's like close game, they're like fine, whatever. But then how about for you guys? How was that experience?
That's so funny because we actually have a rule. We had a rule before in sports in action. We weren't allowed to cheer.
Oh,
I didn't.
okay.
I didn't follow the rule, so I don't know what to say. I was really cheating. Eh. Like my whole time, I was like out loud. Let's go. Because I'm sorry, I didn't follow the rules. So yeah, I was. Well, I mean, this is my school. I love. These are the athletes that I spend time with. I know how hard they work. So I'll cheer for them. You know.
Mm. Buti
Yeah.
you didn't get in trouble or hindi ka napagsabihan nung mga times na yun.
Like, siguro they're just chill. They were just like, whatever, let Ayana be.
Yeah, maybe. And I mean, I see it rin naman, lalo na pag mga finals or final four. It's kind of tough talaga pag close team. Pag tambak,
So
medyo
true.
kahit lamang or natatalo, pag tambak, diba, mas chill yung ano, you don't need to cheer
Yes.
that much. Pero yeah, that's really great to hear from you that you're not afraid to admit nga that you were also cheering for LaSalle. They're
Yes.
going back to season 82. I mean, that's going to be your second season. Was
Mhm.
that like a no doubter that you would come back for season 82? Like did ABS-CBN Sports invite you to like audition again? You didn't audition na nga pala. You like did the vlog thing. Like was that where
Yeah.
did they like suggest for you to come back? How was the process for you?
I really doubted myself. I was really like, man, I'm not gonna get renewed. I really doubted myself. But then I think Franny guested on here, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it
Yeah.
was there was a group chat actually that was made with Franny and I and
Mm-mm.
Makaida also. And they were
Mm-mm.
saying like, we don't want you to audition anymore because we already know how you guys report. We already know how your content is like. What we
Mm-mm.
need you to do though is because this is a new segment in SNA is we need you to edit a vlog. Now we want to see your editing skills, like what you
Wow.
mentioned. So that
Mm.
was yun, si Miss Ada basically said, this is basically your audition piece. If you're
Mm.
not good at editing, I don't know if that would have been a factor to my renewal if I wasn't good. But
Mm.
yeah, basically that was the audition piece. We had to go to training. We
Mm-hmm.
had to vlog basically what was happening in training and stuff like that. And then yeah, eventually we had a call back. We received another message saying
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, it's time for you guys to go to the Sports and Action office once again. We want to meet with you. And then it was so funny because the new courtside reporters were there also. So basically, we
Oh.
were the
Yeah,
veterans
yeah.
at that time, which was so weird. That's so weird. It was really weird for me. Up to now, it's still weird to me. So yeah.
Yeah, what batch were you? I mean, it's yeah, kind of weird. Like you were what year was that? Maybe third year? Were you third year college or second year
No,
college?
I was freshman when I was courtside for LaSalle. So I think I was on my second year of college.
Yeah, second, I guess. Second
Yeah,
nung
I
sinabing
guess.
veteran. I mean, it's kind of weird nga napakinggan na veteran pero second year pa lang on college.
Yeah, and like they were all older. A lot of them were older than me. So I was like, oh
Mm,
my goodness, please.
Yeah. Pero yun sinabi mo na you guys vlog and you needed to edit it. So you were experienced na talaga in that aspect of editing and vlogging, or was that something new to you that you were like, wow, kailangan pala ng ganitong skill or ng ganitong mga kailangan ng mga tasks as a courtside reporter?
No, I was experienced because when I was 5 years old, my parents gave me a laptop. And that
Oh.
was when I started experimenting sa Windows Movie Maker, if you're familiar.
I
So
know.
ever
Yeah.
since talaga, I've always been editing. Like my types of
Mm-mm.
videos before would be like, I'm talking, me ha, 5-year-old Ayana. I'm talking here, and then I take a video of myself again, and then it's like a ghost in the back, and then I'm gonna edit that video of the ghost passing by, and I'm gonna act like,
Yeah.
oh my god, there's a ghost. So
Yeah.
those are the best of videos that I would do, and I think eventually, parang I got to know na the different trends, yung mga
Mm-hmm.
uso video editing skills. Diba right now it's like super minimalist, diba? Like
Yeah.
the sound effects are like keyboard clicks and stuff.
Mm.
So yeah, I think that's how I started. I was so happy when they were like, "You need to edit." I was like, "Yes, this is my time." Time.
Yeah. So when you did that vlogging and the editing, right after that, they already said that you were back for a second time as DLSU courtside reporter, or did you need to go undergo some other things, or wala na?
No, they just invited us to the office, and then we didn't really know what exactly we were there for.
Yeah.
And yun, that was when they announced na, okay, Ayana, we're getting you again. But it was so funny because I also
Mm.
had another shoot for Cornetto the same
Oh.
day that they announced. So basically, if even if I wasn't going to be renewed, I would still be there in the office.
Mm.
So
Mm.
we really didn't know what was going on. We were just gonna be there. We thought also, I think Franny and I were talking about it. We thought that we were just gonna give like advice, have a
Oh, yeah,
session.
yeah. Mga workshop, ganun,
Yeah,
yung mga
workshop stuff.
speaker,
And
yeah.
yeah, eventually we got renewed. Yes.
Yeah, but then how about for season 82? I mean, yeah, you mentioned since kanina from the start that it was cut short. So LaSalle and Lady Spikers played one game lang. Pero at least for the basketball season, what do you think was different and what was similar? I mean, LaSalle had the same almost the same crop of
Oh.
players. So medyo close ka na sa kanila. So maybe mas
Mm-mm.
madali na yun for you. You skipped that process na from season 81. And here you were more familiar na on what to do. Like first game jitters mo, mas iba na yung wala na yun from season 81. So how was that for you?
It was definitely easier. I was able to really compose talaga all of these stories well. I was able to tell interesting stuff talaga, especially na, I think we had three one and dones. It was James Lapot, Jamie Malonzo, and
Yeah.
oh
Keyshawn
goodness,
Meeker.
Sean
Yeah.
Meeker. Yeah, that
Yeah.
one. So it was also
Yeah.
very easy to talk to them, and I feel like what was able to make our relationship better was really the vlogs, because we would
Oh,
have
okay.
challenges na parang you need to make the Green Archers act out a Star Cinema movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we would make them act it out, and it was so funny because in fairness, they're really good at it. Especially
Yeah.
Aljun, he's so
Oh.
good. You guys can
Yeah.
watch it on YouTube. Search more with Aiyana Perlas Star Cinema movies. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I note that people watch a lot of that vlogs. I forgot na nga some of the content, but I'm pretty sure I watched it. Like, basta sports content, pinanonood ko naman, lalo na pag UAAP and then Lasal pa, diba? So,
Mm-mm.
yeah, I remember nagulat nga ako. Sabi ko, wow, ano tong vlog? I didn't know it was for you guys to apply to be back with ABS-CBN. I just thought, na wala lang, you guys would just do it na pinagawa lang sa inyo. Pero
Yeah.
it's enjoyable for the fans. And yun nga, develop your relationships also with them and with the new players like sila Jamie Malonzo. But then yeah, for season 82, how was it also there for you? Was it also tough? Because for me, it was tough as a LaSalle fan because I felt that they could actually, win. I mean, diba, there were games na
Uh,
sobrang dikit tapos it went the other way. So, nung time na yun, as a like courtside, was it also hard for you kasi madaming close games that could have went their way?
yes, it was so hard for me. That last game, I think it was a knockout game against UP
Yeah.
na by halftime, we were tied. And then
Mm,
parang we lost na lang bigla. And, I was
mm,
so sad. I cried. I
mm.
cried in that game because I knew that that was my last report, and I knew that that was going to be my last time representing LaSalle, being one with the
Mm.
LaSallian community. So it was hard talaga. And I think always seeing naman every time the lady spikers and the green archers lose, it's so hard to see how sad they are because you know talaga how hard they work, 'di ba? And you
Mm.
know talaga how motivated they are. You see the blood, sweat, and tears that these athletes go through. So you get affected na rin kasi you have a bond with them na, 'di ba?
Oh.
So parang I think those were the reasons why I'd really get affected with the losses because I
Mm.
knew talaga the things that they would go through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but from the positive side of things, being with these players, you mentioned a lot of the positive things you already got from being with these players, my relationships, my experiences that you never thought you'd have when you were making kwento about being in high school before in Poveda. But then being a courtside reporter, some would say na yun hanggang courtside na lang, they don't want to pursue sports media further. But then
Mhm.
others still pursue it. But then for you, what would courtside reporting, how did it make you grow as a person? Like maybe not necessarily in sports only, but even other stuff like your extracurricular or the stuff you do outside the sports. Because there for sure there are like characteristics or traits of you that changed when you became a courtside reporter.
Personally, I think it really helped me kind of know how to act with different types of people. Kasi syempre,
Mm,
when you're talking to all these athletes and when you're talking to all these fraud teams and being with all these people, you really need to learn how to act talaga decently.
mm,
Up to now, when I was able to talk to Chuck Araneta, one of the PBA
yeah,
anchors, because he
yeah.
congratulated me for courtside, and that was the first thing he reminded me talaga. He was like, just remember, you remember how to act. I'm sure you've been here long. Just remember how you should act. Be
Mm,
polite all the time, and I feel like that's the biggest thing talaga that I learned from being courtside, and of course the ability to listen. You know, I
mm,
if, like after being a courtside reporter, I'm so much better in listening now to
yeah.
people since I'm always the one asking questions, right? So
Oh.
it's so fun. I love hearing stories now, and I
Mm,
want to know more pa. It made me more curious also as a person. So I think those were the things that I learned on the personality side of things.
yeah.
Personality, something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I mean, me being in sports media also, like, I don't know, me wanting to be in sports media, that's also one thing that I'd wanna be better at. Also, like learning more from these stories and always being a sponge and learning from the people that have been there for what 10, 20, 30 years already. So it's really great to be part of a group like that for you. But I wanted to touch also on this topic. Na I'm pretty sure you know that there are like traditionalist parents that would say na you become a lawyer, a doctor, and all the other jobs. But being in like the sports media industry or the host industry, like it's a different like venture rather than being having a corporate job na 8 to 5 or 9 to 5. So how would you like encourage people or even parents that are watching the podcast now, it's still great to have a job like this and it's still not really, I mean, I get it na mas stable yung corporate or yung office job, but having a job like courtside or being in sports, yeah, how would you explain it to the audience?
Okay, first, I just want to say, um, you can raise your child however you want to raise your child. But personally, I'm so lucky that my parents are so supportive with this because originally I'm a psychology student. I took up STEM, and originally I
Mm,
wanted to go to medicine. But because of these opportunities and these dreams that I want to achieve, I'm happy to see naman that my parents and also my sister have been so supportive along the way. They always tell me na your dreams first talaga. It should always be your dreams first that you should try to achieve
mm,
because opportunities won't be there forever. Your age won't be there forever. But then eventually, if things don't flourish for me here, then at least I have medicine always. Medicine will
mm,
always be there, no matter what age, diba?
mm,
Like, let's say, after my PBA stint, wala na ako. I can
mm,
always end up going to medicine na and be the doctor that I want to be.
mm,
So I think that's what really matters is di ko naman sasabihin listen to your child, but to the people out there na children like me who want to achieve their dreams, just I think go
Mm.
for it. Talk to your parents and just say na parang, this is what I want to try out, but at the same time, have a backup plan all the time. I mean, you know, that I love my supportive parents and my sister. So, yun lang. I think that's actually a good ano naman story to say because I'm 'di ba? Why would you
Mm.
choose medicine and ano 'di ba? It's like so
Yeah,
so different.
yeah,
So, yun lang. I think just
yeah.
go to different opportunities in life.
Yeah, for sure nga kasi like I feel yung iba hindi pa lang sila nakaka-adapt or cope sa change. So feeling nila pag ganyan parang ano ba makukuha mong income diyan or
Mm-mm.
sustainable ba yan? Yung mga ganun like I hear those stuff in social media or yung mga jokes that you see the memes that you see on social
Yeah.
media. Pero for you, for person like you naman on the industry, how would you tell like the younger generation na huwag kayong matakot nga to achieve your dreams or if it's really your passion and don't like money is a factor but not the sole factor. Like what would be your advice for them to continue being like some like an asset in the industry? Like do they need to be assertive? Do they need to be active in social media? Like what kind of actions do they need to consistently possess to become like a sustainable in the sports industry or the media industry?
I think it's to just really, like what I said earlier, is to genuinely love your job. Because I
Mm,
feel like when you're working out of enjoyment, when you're working out of love, then more opportunities will really come to you because the people will see na parang you have so much passion and you have so much fun with your job. People will see na, oh my goodness, like she works so hard, and that's a good trait,
mm,
diba? And like I feel like if I didn't really love my job and I just end up complaining and complaining and complaining about it, then for sure God God will be like, then you shouldn't be here. You know what I
mm,
mean?
mm,
So it's just really learning about yourself, getting to know yourself more and what you love and what you think you're meant to be doing. Then I think
mm.
God will just guide you to wherever you should be. And personally, in fairness, God
It
God
works.
thinks this is for me. Well,
Yeah, it's been
yeah,
working.
right?
So yeah, so I mean people should and even should listen, but then they could listen. I mean it's backed up. It's not like nang bobola ka lang or you're just saying random stuff. I mean it's really something that you apply. But then one also aspect of being in sports media or that I'm curious about, and I asked Franny then this and me Stan, like as a courtside reporter, I'm pretty sure you know that there's a stereotype or people generalize it you're ano na kailangan maganda ganon and there's even like articles that say sino yung magandang courtside reporter like
Yeah.
there's like weird stuff that I don't agree with as a fan. So as a courtside reporter whether past or like present, have you ever receive like yung mga sa social media that they say random stuff to you or even in real life that are insulting or offensive? And if they did, how do you think that could like be eradicated or lessened in the sports culture, at least here in the Philippines?
Mm-mm. Actually, I think social media plays a really big role when it comes to like lessening those because personally I have experienced something like that. Like in oh wait, I won't name the league na lang, but there was this one
Yeah.
time that I was courtside reporting for this certain league and
Mm.
parang medyo naging malicious one of the ball boys in that league. And then
Mm.
personally, the first thing that I did was obviously I told the prod na
Mm.
parang, oh my God, this dude touched me. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm.
And then after that, that was when they kind of added up talaga to the bouncers on the court
Oh,
every time.
okay.
Yeah. Every
Mm.
time it was halftime or time out, they
Mm.
really added how many bouncers so that,
Mm.
nothing else would happen to other courtside reporters. And, I think na parang you should just always I don't want to say have a kasama, but I guess if something were to happen to you, just tell the prod right away and then they will protect you. And I think na social media does really play a big role now because like you have eyes everywhere basically. And
Mm.
sana with the power of social media, we can kind of spread awareness about these things, we can kind of like educate people and help people understand that these are wrong. Women shouldn't be objectified, even men
Mm.
shouldn't be objectified.
Yeah, both ways. Yeah.
So yeah, both ways. So I really hope that I know our generation is very woke and very vocal
Mm.
about these things. So hopefully we will be able to help educate and influence people to be better, more careful, more sensitive, right?
Yeah, I agree kasi nga yung iba feeling ko either they're ignorant about it or they don't wanna learn more about what they shouldn't do. Kasi nga feeling siguro nung iba like if you make an article about this or if you say that this courtside reporter is prettier than this, I'll get the clicks on my article whatever. But then,
Yeah.
'di ba, mag-isip ka na lang ng ibang topic. I mean, kung sports writer ka talaga, you'd come up with something that has more substance, 'di ba, rather than that. Or yeah, do the actions. I mean, you could do other smarter actions. Why would you be malicious to a courtside reporter? Like, 'di ba? I mean, I don't know. I don't know what excuse they could say, and then they'll say they're sorry and everything. But then, 'di ba? I don't know. But then for you as a courtside reporter now for the PBA and Spikers turf, what's like your short term and maybe long term goals in the sports industry or as a host in general? Like, what do you still want to achieve? I mean, bata ka pa naman, madami ka pang opportunities na makukuha. Or do you plan to only do this short term and then maybe do medicine? What's your goals?
Actually, my goal is to really be ano talaga, premier host. My inspiration is
Mm,
Mr. Robbie Domingo. And,
mm,
he's so awesome. And Luis
yeah,
Manzano.
yeah.
And parang I wish I guess my goals in order to achieve that is I wish that I could be more witty and better on my feet, and especially during interviews I wish that I could kind of learn how to make it more conversational instead of just
Mm,
me asking questions. Pag my
mm,
best player of the
for
game,
sure.
or let's say
Yeah.
like this dude that I'm talking to.
Mm,
But yeah, those are the things, and I feel like this is really gonna be a long-term thing. I don't see
mm,
it as a short-term thing because I'm still here. I mean, it's been 5 years, I think. So
mm,
I think that's totally awesome, and I enjoy this so much. I love the craft. I love getting to learn from all these different types of people, and I think I'd really want to stay here talaga. So maybe medicine can wait.
yeah, that's a great to hear from you because I interviewed Ayel Estraniero last night and
Yes.
she asked me if I knew you. I was like, oh, I just know her, but not like personally. But I'd want to interview her, and coincidentally, I interviewed you the next night, which is tonight. And yeah, she mentioned daw kasi nga that you pursued sports media, but then yeah, you were thinking about going to medicine na, but then the opportunity is here, so why not grab it and
Oh
continue. I
my
mean, the
God.
yeah PBA got you, and you're able to still be in the industry. So great to hear from you.
Ate Ayel, Ate Ayel and I were talking about that like literally, what day is it today? Thursday. We were talking about that nung Tuesday.
Kaya siguro naalala niya. Kaya
Yeah,
when
she's so cute.
yeah, yeah, naalala niya when I guested her nung last night, yeah, Wednesday around this time din eh. So, yeah, it's great to hear from you that you always bounce on the opportunity talaga when it's there for you. But then in the sports world naman, I mean, everyone's trying to resume from the woes of the pandemic because everything was stopped, national team man yan, or club team or any sport. So what do you see is the future of sports here in the Philippines? I mean, don't need to focus on like basketball or volleyball lang, like all the sports, and most especially like you, I want to ask about like women in sports. I mean, ang daming mga medalists like Alex Ayala has been fantastic,
Yes.
Heidelin Diaz, and Jamie Lim, Agatha Wong, all these women in sports. So what do you think, guys, the future of sports here in the Philippines, but most especially like women?
The future of sports here in the Philippines is definitely something to watch out for. I feel like more and
Mm,
more people in our country are starting to love sports more and are starting to be more updated with sports. I don't know if it's just me ha, na parang my whole timeline, my whole Facebook feed, my whole FYP has always been about sports. I don't know if it's because I like interact with sports stuff, but I feel like
mine
parang,
also.
right?
Yeah.
Parang everyone is just talking about sports, but because I
Mm,
feel like people really like hearing more of real life stories now instead of like
Mm,
fictional stuff, and you get to see yun nga yung mga sacrifices of these athletes and all these women who are constantly achieving things. And I feel like that's the reason why people are loving it so much, especially that the Philippines is getting so much attention. People
mm,
are more and more kind of like, oh my God, yes, more pa. You know naman that mindset. So
mm,
I think it's really something to look out for, not only for women, but also for men, like in men's volleyball, which has been a
mm.
sport then that's, growing palang. And here women are really showing their strength, and I think that's so awesome talaga that the Philippines gets to have these things show off. We're
Yeah.
showing off.
Yeah, hopefully, especially our national teams across all sports. I mean, basketball,
Yes.
volleyball, given na yan. Pero the others din, like, excuse me. I mean, I hope, like, football team, di ba, ang galing nila, nanalo sila, and they're qualifying for the World Cup next year.
Yeah.
So, I hope the everything continues and we all come back from this pandemic and yung sports is back to normal, hopefully soon. I mean, we're starting to get there na.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Pero I wanted to thank you, Ayana, again for joining me here on the podcast. Pero before you go, I have a couple of questions that I usually ask my guests, and I believe that you'd also have fun answering them. So one of it is, I'm pretty sure you know, as like an NBA fan, that the players were more vocal during the NBA bubble when they had social and political issues occurring in their country, and yeah, they weren't
Yeah.
afraid to say what their opinion was and their stance. But as you know too, the Filipinos are more shy, or you could say more laid
Mm,
back in terms of their opinions when it comes to social and political issues. But then nung election season, like campaign season, and nung pandemic, people were more vocal when something would occur in or any social issue before the elections, and especially nga nung campaign season when they say they're like their candidate or they educate people. So for you as a sports personality, as a courtside reporter, so how important is it for you guys to be there as and you use your platform to amplify your voice to educate like the Filipino citizens? And do you think that's okay? Because some people would rather focus na lang kayo sa job nyo, ganun. So what's your opinion and your sentiments on that?
I think it's honestly really, really good that these athletes are using their platforms to help educate and influence people. Like, I hosted
Mm.
this event for Miss Lenny Robredo, the
Yeah, I
Angat,
saw. Mm.
and that
Yeah,
made me so happy that we had Dina Wong, Bea de Leon really using their
yeah.
platforms to influence people, and I think that's really awesome. I wish that I
Mm-hmm.
feel like ano kasi that's the tradition here in the Philippines, right? Na parang
Mm-hmm.
you have to keep quiet about things or you can get canceled and stuff.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't think that's right. I wish that people would be more open because syempre it's a free world. We have the
Mm.
right to express whatever we want to express. And I'm happy that the athletes are using their platforms talaga to help and really influence people to say what's right and do what's right.
Yeah, I agree because yeah, some people like I'm pretty sure you'd know they're like journalists. They're like they told LeBron James to like shut up and dribble and stop talking about Donald Trump or something. I mean,
Yeah,
there are some people that think that, but here I don't know. Like, if you're like Leah Lenny or Bong Bong or whatever, I mean, just you could say it and it would help. You never know if you're like Eliza Valdez and you have like 2 million followers on Instagram or 3 million, diba? It could
exactly.
help the country. And you educate the people. I'm pretty sure you know na maraming fake news, misinformation here in the country. So
Exactly.
athletes and sports personalities would, yeah, make a big part of it. But yeah, for you, were you very active with those kinds of things? Like I saw, man, you were active in like Lenny's rallies, and you were there. Your IG, diba? It's like you posted pictures with her. So were you really active with the political stuff, or did you get to start that like when you were now lang?
You know what? I actually this is Miss Lenny Robredo was my first ever candidate that I was so vocal about and that I really supported.
Mm,
I guess
mm,
not only is it because this is my first time voting, but I feel like yun nga, kahit na maliit lang yung influence ko, like kahit na 5 or 4 people lang yung na-influence ko, parang I felt like I had kind of like the responsibility in a
mm,
way. So I was really active at that time, and it was my first time being active ever in politics. But ever since, even before, I've always been kind of like constantly sharing stuff, especially when it's about mental health, about women,
Yeah.
about objectifying women, misogyny and stuff like that. Parang I've
Mm.
always been sharing naman those types of stuff. But for politics, this is the first time ever.
Yeah, I mean, me also. Like, I went to like one rally, and I wanted to go to the other ones too, but I had something lang, and I don't know. It's the first time I really cared that much. Maybe nga kasi nga first time voter. I'm only 22 also, so it's like the first time I was able
Love it.
to vote. Yeah, so
Mm.
yeah, it's really a fun experience then. But then for the next question, this is also a fun question lang. So if you had the opportunity to have dinner with five people, dead or alive, who would you invite?
Oh no, Ariana Grande. No, I would
Yeah.
say Blackpink, but that already takes up four people. Can they be considered as one?
Okay lang. It doesn't matter. It's fine.
Okay. Ariana
Yeah.
Grande, Blackpink,
Hmm.
um, definitely Michael Jackson.
Hmm.
My man. I love him.
Hmm. Yeah.
And oh my gosh, should I say Justin Bieber or is he gonna waste my spot? Um, Justin. Oh my god, Justin. Fine, I'll say Justin. And maybe I want to get someone from LeBron James. LeBron James.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
He's a huge LeBron fan. He's the only athlete
Oh,
on the
are you
athlete
a
on the
big
table.
LeBron fan also?
No, I'm not. I'm not. I don't like LeBron. Because
I've
I'm
been
a
LeBron
Boston
since
Celtics fan.
2014. Okay, so
I'm a Boston Celtics fan kasi LeBron's our rival. I mean, when he was in the Heat, Cavaliers, rival
yes.
niya in Boston eh. Kaya I never liked LeBron. Yeah.
Okay.
For the final question, this is also a fun question lang. You'd know naman that I invite people through social media and email and all these things lang. Since
Yes.
I just started to get to know people in the sports media industry when I began this podcast. So who would suggest that I could invite here in the podcast that would have a great story to tell as well, or masarap lang sila makipagkwentuhan about any sporting event?
My boyfriend.
Ah, si David. Yeah, I
Yeah,
haven't had him on the podcast.
yeah. I think he would also be able to tell a really interesting story because he got to experience ABS and GMA. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I think he would be able to really help educate people talaga. And he also just got renewed for NCAA, so I think he has a lot of stories to tell. The
Yeah, that's
different
great. Yeah. Yeah, is he a courtside now for NCAA?
Yes, he's a Courtside reporter aiming to be an anchor. That's his goal.
Okay, okay. Yeah, hopefully soon. I mean, he's been doing a great job na. Pansin ko rin. But didn't he get hit with the ball then or something before nung UAAP
No,
siya? Or something like Basta there was like a trending like Dave
ay
Ildefonso.
yeah, Dave
Is that a
Ildefonso.
hit by the ball? What was that?
No, Dave Ildefonso pinched his nipple
Oh, and during like while he
on
was
cap.
talking.
On
Oh, okay, okay. Yun pala yun. Kala ko he got hit by the ball or something. But yeah, that's a
yes.
great suggestion. I hope to have him on the podcast soon. But before you go, Ayana, do you have any final message?
Oh my God. I don't have a final Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining the DVD show. Thank you, obviously, to Diego for having me. I super love, I love this show and this
Mm,
podcast.
mm.
I love this episode and I love how you're also from DLSU. So thank you so much. And for those of you who want to watch, wow, who want to watch Tigers Turf, that's Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. We also have the PBA oh my goodness,
Wednesday, Friday, Sunday,
Wednesday,
right?
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but
Okay,
three
yeah.
on three, Monday, Tuesday.
I
Oh,
don't know.
parang
That's the
every day
thing.
ata yung PBA, guys.
Mm,
That's once again on One Sports and TV5 and Signal.
mm. Yeah, so
So,
thank you so much, Ayana, for joining me here on the podcast. I enjoyed a lot. And before you go, is it okay if we take a picture?
of course. Okay.
Okay, I'll take it from
No,
here.
no.
One, two, three. Okay, thank you,
Yay!
Ayana, again for joining me on the pod. And yeah, see you soon.
Thank you so much, Diego.